fanboys and fangirls, welcome back to Random Fandom, podcast that celebrates all things pop culture, fun, and good in the world. And we have a very exciting show for you. We are delighted to have another great guest here on the show. I'm Shiri, and this is Chen, and that's it.
She's pointing at me, but you can't see. But yes, I am.
Yeah, because you're in the same room, so I can point right
We're not
at
used to
you.
it, so it changes everything.
Look in your face and say, that's Chen. We are doing this show, all three of us, two hosts and a guest, at the same room at the same time in Israel. And we
This is like a one-time only kind of thing.
So far, we're very excited about
Until
that.
next year.
Which you must know if you've listened to our previous shows. We get really proud of ourselves.
Yeah, that's probably, technically speaking, the easiest we've done so far.
So far. Okay, so who cares? Our guest is Leigh Lahav, a former Israeli girl.
Still am. Yeah, you can't take the Israeli out of the girl.
That's true.
I don't know. You don't. If you've been out of the country for a
3
long
years.
enough time. 3 years.
3 years
Okay.
is long?
Yeah, but Israeli
No,
is a state of mind.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
Another successful Israeli artist, Leigh Lahav, will talk to us about everything that she does that incorporates her fandom life, her geekiness, and her professional life as an animator.
Mm-hmm. She's a successful animator in LA. You might know her work, stuff like Frozen is the New Black and Stranger Things Christmas. She's done way more stuff, obviously, but these two really broke some, I don't know, records might not be the word, but they've been featured.
For me, at least.
Well, but they've been featured everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? One of them was tweeted about Rosie, right?
Everyone's talking about Rosie O'Donnell just because I mentioned her at some point, but I've been tweeted by a few good celebrities.
Tell us.
I can't really remember because every video I made that was related to some fandom got some traction and attention from at least one of the actor or actresses from the show. The Stranger Things one was shared a lot by Noah Schnapp, Will Byers. He was really sweet. The Mean Elves one was retweeted and shared by, what's her name? She was the female elf. Come on.
Evangeline Lilly?
Yes.
Oh,
her.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
she's
amazing.
So yeah, and
That's a good
I mean,
one.
yeah, and each one of them when someone
So
big
exciting.
shares them, it's really cool and excited.
I do remember one of the first things that I saw that really broke. I've known you from before that. Not personally, we've never met,
Yeah,
but
we've
I've been following you
yeah.
Twitter and
Oh,
stuff,
cool.
So we've been around each other this whole time, but we've never really
running in
met.
the same online
Circles,
circles.
exactly,
Nice.
yeah. So one of the things that I've was the fangirls video.
Yes.
Because the Firefly girls, I shouldn't say girls because Firefly is one of the few fandoms where there are as many guys as there are girls, and it's very nicely sliced. So there was a lot of talk about that one little bit of Firefly thing that happened because we were just desperate for any kind
Striving
of
for sort of like
crumbs
Yeah,
of
there was a
attention.
sweet shout out over there.
It was a great shout out. Basically, that's so meta because the shout out was that the Firefly people are still waiting.
Yes.
So what's new with you guys? Nothing. Okay.
So, we have so much to talk about, but we wanted to maybe... December has been, I think, really great for like female-led creations. We've had the new Star Wars came out not that long ago, and just this week the Doctor Who Christmas special.
Now we were introduced to Jodie Whittaker as the next Doctor, and she
new
was
Doctor.
Yes, and the little time in which we had her in that episode was great. She was really cute, really sweet. So every generation, the Doctor kind of loses control of the TARDIS. Which is kind of canon that he can't really control the TARDIS that much as it is. The only one who can, I think, is River
It pretty
Song.
much controls itself.
Yeah. River Song is the only one that kind
she
of
can
knows
drive
how
it.
to
And
drive
maybe
it.
Maisie Williams in like 8 years.
And the Doctor just kind of lets her do her own thing. And every generation, he loses complete control over it, and he crashes against stuff. And that also happened to Jodie Whittaker, who the 13th Doctor, who kind of there's a cliffhanger there of what's happening with the TARDIS. But there was a certain newspaper in the UK maybe the male because they're the dumbest, but I'm not sure who, that wrote something like, the Christmas special ends with Jodie Whittaker losing control of the TARDIS. Women drivers, eh?
Oh my god. I knew you were going to say that before you even
It's hilarious because, in general,
hilarious.
that's
If
not
only
a
she
take.
was Asian as well, that would have been perfect for them.
It's a hilarious take from that episode in general. But knowing that every single generation it happens, come on.
Well, obviously they don't know that, and it's very
they don't. Probably don't.
Kind of superficial way of looking at things and looking for stuff.
Come on.
Like in contradiction to what actually happened. I haven't seen the entire episode yet, but I have seen like the transformation, like the regeneration scene, and it's like a whole 5 minutes, and he gives a speech before
They always do.
Yeah, of course they always do. But he's
farewell speech.
Yeah, but to her, in a way, like saying to the next doctors the things he wants to vocalize and be out there, and listening to what he has to say, and then seeing her, and she's saying, "Oh, brilliant," when she realizes that, she's a female doctor, almost feels like she's like, "Oh, this is gonna be so much better." Like, in the sense of like, if women led the world would have been a better place. And this is kind of like in those 2 minutes of like him saying this and then, regenerating, I felt like when she's saying, "Oh, brilliant," that also kind of includes that notion. You know what I mean?
For me,
I wonder if that's true, though.
When I shared that, a little gif of her saying, "Oh, brilliant," and I wrote something along the lines of, every time in 2017 when I saw a piece of media that featured a really cool woman in it. That's how I reacted. And I think that's it. I don't really see it as the doctor kind of seeing, "Oh, this is the right path," as much as, "Oh, this is new, thank God."
Oh, yes, absolutely. Each regeneration, I would look at it and say, okay, so great. So you're now investing in a new actor, and basically that's all you did. You're gonna
a new idea.
Invent a new personality, very slightly different than the last one, just based upon this guy, what this guy does. Seriously, and then we'll find someone to travel with him. If he's a guy, then it's gonna be a young girl. She's gonna think he is like the cat's meow. Nothing changes. Where
see, but there's so much.
Think outside the box.
But there's so much we don't know. First of all, you were saying like about the companion. Like we don't know if he's necessarily gonna get a male one.
I think we already know.
I was talking about.
Really?
Yeah.
No, don't spoil it.
Oh, I won't.
But I'll ask you later because I'm curious.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say.
Talk about it later.
Did the doctor ever know that it's even a possibility for him to regenerate to a female form? I don't think they ever discussed it.
I think they mentioned that this happened.
They did. They mentioned, obviously it's new information. They have mentioned several times.
It's ridiculous if not.
It's hinted in the old series because there has been talks of, I don't remember who, but there have been talks about a female doctor in like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
They thought about doing that. They didn't.
But female, like from birth or like...
No, him regenerating, yeah.
Okay.
So it was kind of, I would say like behind the scenes canon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about the series itself. I'm not sure. It has been discussed maybe in the new series. Obviously, they have discussed it from the moment the Master was Missy.
True.
It's a thing that has become canon from there. I don't know if the Doctor himself.
But it's also interesting because he just saw like the Capaldi's Doctor seen Missy, and his next generation right after her is like also
what does that mean
female. For you? I wonder if like when he saw Missy subconsciously he wanted his next generation.
You know what? I was like, what? I want to do that.
Yeah.
For me, it was mostly I think two major things I think brought the Doctor towards this regeneration. First of all, I think. This is the most contemplative Doctor we have. At least in the last season, I was not a fan of Capaldi's Doctor until he became what I think he was destined to be, which is kind of a very paternal, very sweet, very forgiving, very I'm tired of all of this shit.
They tried to go with his like nastiness in the beginning because he looks like a nasty guy.
I didn't even understand why. It made no sense for the regeneration.
They cast a guy with these eyebrows.
Yeah.
So they thought we should go for it and do something different. Maybe that was their idea of something different.
Yeah.
We have to shuffle the deck.
There was kind of a mix, which was problematic for me, of two things, which was what Moffat wanted, which is, I want to go to the old series of, the first kind of stick in his ass Doctor.
So old.
On the other hand, he did write the 50th anniversary as a segue into a very calm, very paternal, very, that's kind of the Doctor that everyone was expecting, because it usually is like this.
Then people liked him more.
His next regeneration is what he needs to be from now on.
Yeah, and that's why it was such a dissonance, so weird when he was confused and angry, and it made no sense. But later on, as his series progressed, he became this wonderful character, like one of the best Doctors, like sweet, and he had all throughout his season with Bill, he was making those dad jokes all the time, and it made so much sense.
So good.
What was it? I think in the ice episode. Right? Yeah, that's too bad.
I jumped ship when he regenerated.
You need to watch the season with her. She's so great.
Yeah.
In that episode, I can't remember the name of it, but they're seeing like a monster or something, or lights under the ice. It's in the 19th century, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And she's like, it's kind of her first, or second, time travel. And she's asking Doctor, is there like a side effect for time traveling? Because she thinks she's seeing things. And he says like, sometimes you see things under the ice.
Like, he was funny.
Yeah, he was like, she's like, Doctor. And that was cute. That's him.
I like that he took her under like his tutelage, but didn't say it outright.
Yeah.
He took it upon himself to kind of mentor her, but without saying it outright, and he built this whole thing. Like, she's coming over to study with him, but no one knew about it. I don't know. That was such a good
of course,
scenario.
wonderful.
Summer internship.
And she was so good, herself.
Yeah.
She's such a good actress. It's a great character. It's a queer character.
I'm aware of that.
Why aren't you
relevant to
on
my
board?
interest?
Really sweet, really.
No, she really elevated it and like brought him back for me.
And that's actually my second point as to why I think he regenerated like this. I think Bill gave him a lot of inspiration to do that. I think she was kind of, because each one of the companions, which I love in different sort of ways, there was still
just playing the role.
In a way, yes. And Belle was very different. She was queer. She was black. She was kind of take no shits on one hand, but also really excited and very much into that adventure on the other hand. I think she was kind of the different person, the kick that he needed to kind of actually get inspired to want to become more like her.
But let me ask you, is it like canon that he can control what he turns into?
That's it.
It was completely random.
Well, okay, I'll say two things. One that I like less, one that I like more. It was always, I'm talking about the new series because I've only started watching from 2005.
Yeah, me too.
I've watched a few episodes from the 60s, just kind of in an exploring kind of the canon sort of way, but I didn't actually invest my time. In the new series, he never knew who was going to regenerate it. He even talked about it as lottery. But there was always kind of a system, a meaning towards who he was regenerating to, and I think that started with Tennant, with the 10th Doctor, because he kind of regenerated into this romantic, sensitive, handsome sort of Doctor.
Kind of like what Rose needed him to be.
What he needed, what he felt like. He was born out of love.
Yeah.
So he was, so kind of what Rose needed him to be, what he felt inside. She liked pretty boys. He wanted to be a pretty boy. It's mainly
sketchy for me.
It's not sketchy because the handsomeness is obviously not that important, but it's more like he was born out of love to her. He sacrificed himself, so he was born as this very romantic and very daring sort of Doctor. And then Matt Smith, when he came around, the Doctor was very, very lonely. He regenerated alone. He regenerated out of tragedy. And Matt Smith was kind of this very asexual, very distant, alien sort of Doctor that isn't very touchy. And later on, he does, but this alien kind of being that is born out of loneliness and a very, very sharp turn from what he was before that.
And the first thing he does is make friends with a little kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And he's weird, and Doctor's always weird, but that's kind of, I felt that over there. And that's why with Capaldi, everyone, the whole 50th anniversary was talking about how this is it. I'm not afraid of being old anymore. I'm happy because Gallifrey has a chance. He's very complete. This is the first time in so many regenerations that he forgives himself and he feels calm. And then we get this, what is that? Did you learn nothing from the 50th anniversary? But a few seasons later, we got that doctor, at least.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes.
Okay, because
that's my theory. But the second thing.
So that's the one you don't like so much.
I like
okay
a lot. Okay. It is a bit of a fan theory, but it makes so much sense in the series, and it makes television sense. It makes you make a certain point. You make a certain
It's more organic.
You get a certain payoff to a certain thing that was established. But the second thing is Moffat likes to create his own canons a lot in the Doctor Who universe. He got a bit of a god complex situation over there. He decided that the Doctor can kind of control his regenerations, and each one of his regenerations is based on someone that he once knew. That he could. I don't like it either. He created that canon because everyone was talking about how Capaldi was already in the series. In the Fires of Pompeii. Mm-hmm. And there was one episode with Capaldi in which he says, this face that I have now reminds me to save people because at the time, Donna made me save that.
They actually acknowledged that?
Yes, Donna made me save that dude, so I look like him.
That's so lame.
I don't like it either.
That? Did he outright say that?
Yeah, he hinted towards it. Like
Let's ignore. Let's
never speak of this.
To my thing that I wanted to say about
it is upsetting. I don't like it either.
Let's start a petition to take it out of canon.
But I will take from it the idea of the Doctor wanting to be someone because of something he experienced. So I do believe that the female Doctor is not just, it happens now, but he really wished. It's kind of like, when
he wanted it.
You get sorted. And you really want to be a Gryffindor,
so hard.
and the hat is kind of you're a great Slytherin, but I want Gryffindor. So he will probably be okay, whatever.
And this kind of connects with the fact that he just saw Missy too, because I think so too. In a way, brings to the surface
because Missy they had this very interesting relationship with her in the season, kind of Loki. And Thor kind of relationship of is he good now? Is he bad now? But with Missy, it's a little more sophisticated and complicated, in which he really wants her to be good, and she doesn't really know what she wants anymore. But she's also kind of tired of the play of running and
she is kind of a chaos person.
Yeah, she can't help it.
Type person.
Yes,
right.
It's kind of this.
It's in her nature to
Missy for me is this story. There's the story about the scorpion and the frog.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that story.
Is a frog over there or something else?
It doesn't matter.
Never mind, let's say frog.
A frog. Everyone knows.
Yeah. Shall I say it anyway?
No.
Okay.
That's
I told it to my husband not so long ago, and he didn't know it. He was devastated. He was like, no, I want a different ending.
Say it then.
You haven't been watching enough TV because it's a trope.
Oren watches a lot
Listen. That's a trope on TV and movies for people to say, it's like the thing with the tortoise and the scorpion. You know what I mean? When the scorpion, and then they tell the whole story.
No, Oren's whole
every time.
Oren's whole life is TV. He probably missed it at some point.
For his sake, let's tell the story.
I was gonna say, but you also, do I remember correctly? Was it Halloween? Did you dress up as the new Doctor for Halloween?
Yes, I did.
It didn't even air yet.
With the outfit that I liked.
That you, wishful dressing, basically.
Holy shit. I hate that one so much.
There's so much writing on her now.
Yeah.
She should better bring it.
But that goes to show you how it feels to have this, because Leigh dressed up as her before a minute of her even aired. It's I
have a blonde bob now. I had to.
Yeah, you're kind of working at it anyway.
But that brings us back to the whole race, and we kind of digressed into a special Doctor Who episode territory. But
this is a fandom show.
Yeah, of course.
You bring your own fandom,
and then the episode is 2 hours long. But
anyway, these are the reason I think. He kind of wished for it without knowing, I think, to be this, but also, and this is kind of meta for TV, also for movies now.
That's the time.
It felt like no matter if it was a woman, a black woman, or a black man, or anything, it was like, oh, thank God, something new.
Absolutely.
I don't even care if it'll be bad.
Can it be just a dog? I mean, something. Something.
Listen, honestly,
I really wanted to
but
see.
it's true. In the LGBTQ community, like, we will compromise on something shitty if it gives us queer characters. It's sad.
She might be queer.
We don't know yet.
My theory.
Going back to the whole.
My
Like,
theory
even
that
if
she's
it's
blonde.
bad-
My theory is that she's blonde because she misses Rose.
Oh.
Oh Lord!
I'm gonna.
You're really buying into
That's
that
all
thing where
No, I mean that's
Saffron
that's
is
probably
best.
not it because Moffat. I think Moffat.
Is that your OTP?
What? Of course it is. Holy shit! Of course.
Good question. I didn't even-
Thinking.
yeah.
What?
I'm
No,
gonna
I mean,
adapt it as fan.
no, I mean as
the word fanon.
canon. That's my canon, but yeah, probably not because I think Moffat hated the older series. I think he hated Rose. I think
Well,
he hated
he's
10.
gone. So.
No, I mean I'm thinking about it because in the 50th anniversary, he gave 10 such a I don't know fanficky sort of character. I hated what he did with him, and I was like, does he hate that character? I mean.
It were dark times there.
I'm very happy
was
he's
very
not the
hard
one
to
to be
hold
there
on.
to write for the new Doctor. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily gonna be good. We don't know yet, but
Yeah.
it's like.
But like, can I say just this? It seems like, okay, now there's a woman doctor and there's a lot riding on this. It had better be good. It better be like bringing it from day one. But why?
No, I mean,
If
yeah,
this one
idea-
doesn't work out, there could be another female character and it's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
Yeah,
But
I've had some,
you know,
Plus, no matter how good it is, someone's gonna hate it, so it doesn't matter.
course.
You know,
Ruin
you want it
your
to be
life.
good because you want
my
to
point
enjoy
is
it,
that
you know?
we are like in this moment of time, which I'm glad about, where it's if you're not gonna do this, you are being ridiculous right now. It's like I always say, if you have 6 characters and none of them are
Yeah.
queer in any way, you are being stupid and just
No, we talked about
ridiculous.
this because
I
statistically,
mean,
one
worse,
in every-
even worse, you're being boring.
Yeah, and
And you're
ignorance
completely
is
out
the
of
world.
touch with
Yeah.
reality. So it's the same thing. Like you say, doctor after doctor after doctor will accept anyone, you know?
Yeah.
We want them. No, because we love them. We love this show. We
Yeah.
want to see more. You know, it went through some
We did
tough
see
times and
something new.
people still were hanging in there because we had hope that it will be fine in the end. It's still fun in a way that I don't think a lot of other TV shows are fun. And still I'm just longing for something
Yeah.
different. I was having this fantasy that someone will be a companion that really truly hates the doctor. Somehow they have to go together.
No, I mean,
and do that.
it's still for kids. It still needs to. Still needs to
No,
be a
we
hero.
can do it.
Still.
We can do it in a good way, and then like slowly over a long period of time. I'm just trying to think
no,
outside the box.
There is no doubt that, like you said, I jumped ship a couple seasons ago. There's no doubt that, like, just the excitement of
Will
seeing
bring
a
you back.
woman. Absolutely, and it's the same thing with Star Wars now, and like more in this second, like in this new movie, in The Last Jedi.
Okay, do you want to talk about Star Wars?
Yeah, maybe
Yay!
a bit, but yeah,
Oh,
but
shit.
like, yeah, because Leigh and I were talking about it, and I was saying, like, you know, even more so than the previous film, in this one, I felt like Rey was like a more rounded person, not like an archetype of what like a female Jedi would be, and like heroic, but in a way that makes no sense, idealist in a way that makes no sense. In this movie, even if they didn't say much, I could see it in her eyes and performance that like she has just to have a system of beliefs. It felt way deeper for me, and it was so exciting to see this badass woman being a Jedi, or like a Jedi to be, and just like picking up that sword and actually like, you know, confronting Luke about like being an asshole, you know, confronting Kylo Ren about being an asshole. So it's like, you go girl, like, you know.
She has something about her, that actress, like a quality. And I think a lot of the things that you're talking about, they come from her.
Yeah.
It's not in the writing.
Yeah, but casting
I don't
is
know
a-
if it's in the directing. I don't know. I've not
I mean,
watched the
They
movie.
chose her though.
In a way, I
So-
mean, that character suffers from a certain problem that I have no problem with because it's that kind of it's that kind of thing.
Like a
You will
Star
have
Wars
the I'm saying it lightly because I'm not 100% behind it. A bit of a flawless sort of hero.
Yeah.
Luke was like that. She's like that. A lot of chosen one characters are like that. But she does have something extra. Yes, it's from her, but also she is contemplative towards light versus dark. She is drawn to Kylo Ren. She is drawn to the dark side. You're saying she confronts Luke. She give him like she whacks him with that stick. That's a very bold and a little nasty move too, and I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like she's a kid, and
She
that's,
doesn't take shit though, and that's very nice.
yeah. But that moment I didn't really see it as doesn't take shit. I saw it more as very very impulsive, childish move. But that's good. That character sometimes does that too.
That's
because
realistic, and that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Like, she's
makes
not.
sense.
that's like whoa, relax. What are you doing?
She's not
But
like
still.
just like being
Fully
tight all the
formed.
time to keep herself good. If
Yeah.
there's something and that would happen with like perfect heroes, and she's like she shows us more than that. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember, but I feel like again going back to like the woman thing, we've seen young Jedi men being tempted by the dark side and going to the dark side, and then you have a woman going through the same thing, and she's stronger, like, you know what I mean? And that's, I think, also, that's also a statement in a way, and I like that too. But yeah, but like on a side note, I have to mention the petition thing, because I thought it was so funny. So some people really did not like the film. And it was
shock and awe, really.
well, someone will
Is
always
it
gonna hate, of course.
Fanboys that feel like
probably mostly.
their lives are just ruined
Yeah,
now
they were like, well,
because women are in the world with them
it's a
at the
spoiler.
same time.
I don't know how to say it without.
Yeah, try not to
they're
spoil
saying
things.
like a certain character deserved better, which is so funny because it's like take it from a hashtag. Like this character deserved better. You know what I mean? So and so deserved better. So so they started this petition, and you'd think it would be ridiculous, like trying to asking Disney to not include this movie in canon, which is ridiculous because the movie is out and like, okay, but they are trying to get 75,000 people to sign it, and 70,000 people already signed it.
And that makes it true.
That makes it true, of course. But I thought even when it's a bad thing, it's amazing that we're at the point of time that fandom thinks they have so much power to like gather and actually do something like this.
Insane.
Like 10 years ago, you would never hear about this sort of petition.
True.
You know what I mean?
I think it's you would say it's fandom culture. I say it's Trump culture of these kind of people thinking we can do these kind of things now. I'm not sure if we would see this kind of petition 2 years ago. I might be wrong. I will say it's a mix of a couple of things. It's another phase of the same people who say in my, who comment on my YouTube channel, this is shit. It is kind of the same phase of YouTube culture of
internet trolling.
I can not even trolling. Like, I can demand whatever I want, even if it makes no sense. It's that culture mixed with the Trump culture of
No consequences.
yeah.
We say
for
often that
nothing.
fandom sometimes, certain fans, they have the tendency of like claim ownership over certain things, and
Well, I think that's the basis of being a fan. I think to claim ownership of the fan,
but not in the sense that you like.
But
I will
as
change
creator.
this content.
Yeah.
I have the right to ask to change this
when
content.
when you feel that you have the right, and you as a person, a single person, needs to be consulted, or your personal view has to be taken into and you can't even see the big picture because you don't. But I think it's also part of the internet culture.
Absolutely.
Of the fact that you can write whatever you want.
Yeah.
You don't have to
created
say who you
wonderful
are.
things, and
there are
allowed
no
us-
consequences for that.
It allowed us wonderful things, and it also like it has its cons.
And also, you can see people's true nature, which is to go on someone's page and say this is shit.
half of these people
you
are
can
like
just say
anonymously
nothing.
like commenting, so you can't really see their true nature.
And what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
What are you creating? I don't know.
People made a habit out of like online harassment. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, okay, but we can't do anything about
We
that.
shall speak about the subject at hand.
Yes.
Did you want to say something more about Star Wars?
I mean, I think since this is a fandom kind of thing, we're forced to talk about like the fresh new ship in Star Wars that is like taking the world by storm. I'm talking about Rey and Kylo Ren.
Okay.
That is.
We did talk about it.
Oh,
in
nice.
a completely different sense, though. In a sense
I will say, look, a couple of things why I liked it so much in this. Like the last movie, I was like, this is interesting and sexy.
You see, I was right.
Yeah.
And now,
this
you felt
movie-
like that in the previous film already?
Already, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Come on.
Of course. That's the
Come
whole
on.
thing with shipping and
Yeah.
that's the whole.
Yeah, it's like,
you just need
People like the
Yeah.
bad boy.
But it's not just that though.
needs to be so
Yeah,
small.
it was like that, but I wasn't crazy yet. I was like, "Ooh, this is hot." I'm watching some. I'm looking at some fan art that's at it. This movie, I think, grabbed everyone. People who are not even, shipping prone, because it was so effective. It used some, almost fanficky tropey sort of with all the, they're talking to each other over there with the telepathic connection thing. Wow. Her actually seeing him like without a shirt. Oh, can you put something on? But what I liked about it more, like this, the previous movie was very much I'm drawn to this, and I'm drawn to the bad boy or whatever. This movie was very much two very lonely souls, that they kind of see something,
establishing
in
a
each
real
other.
connection between.
Yes,
like
like very.
emotional
You
between
see
them.
why they're drawn to each other. Mark Hamill said something along the lines of everyone likes the bad boy, and yeah, true. But it's deeper than that, first of all, because they are connected, because they are representatives of, the Force, which is, the dark, the light. They should want to connect. But also, they're both experiencing different circumstance of a world at war. Her being literally alone and an orphan and very lonely her entire life. Him being kind of a product of war, being kind of a part of that machine, being forced to be part of that machine. And feeling betrayed by Luke also, and both are kind of the very lonely souls that see something in each other. And I was watching it, I was like, oh, I wish I watched that when I was in high school. Oh my god, I would identify so hard.
Right.
Now I see it, from an adult perspective, so I can appreciate it for what it is.
You can see the problems and how toxic it may be.
And that's why another reason I loved it, I kind of call it, forgive the comparison, but kind of a reverse Twilight, in a sense, because she's drawn to this vampire kid. And at the end, there is, the big...
Again, spoilers.
So fight scene, which is, like, obviously a sex scene. And, and come on. And then he does this negging, this... seduction artist thing where he says, you're nothing. But not to me.
That's
she's
like abusive relationship material, though.
No, Kylo Ren, no Ben Solo. And she's actually, like, contemplating...
working on me.
Like, at this point, because she thought they're getting somewhere, and then he goes back again to this, you're not going to change, are you?
Yeah.
No.
Which you never see with,
then no.
That is so important.
Yes, it's a great scene. I love it.
Well, going back to him, though, what I, like, while we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it, it's interesting, because what we usually see, in the format is, like, good or bad. And then he comes in this movie, and of course he represents, like, the dark side. But he's, like Leigh mentioned, he grew up during the war. He was a pawn for so long, and he wants to break free from that. So all of a sudden we see, like, a third option in his mind. Like, he's like, I don't want to work for this guy, but I also don't think I want to go back to the light side. Oh my god, I forgot. Like, not the dark side, the opposite of the dark side.
The revelation, the rebel side.
He doesn't want to go back to the rebel side. He doesn't want to work, but he doesn't want to be a pawn anymore. He wants to kind of, like, break free and be something new and else altogether.
But also, which is why I like that scene so much, he thinks he's breaking free. He thinks he's like, yeah, this is what you want, huh? And but no, because he's repeating the same old things. Now, long live the new leader.
Who knows what would have happened if Rey actually joined him? Like, it might have been a whole new thing.
But that's the point. It's not for him. He thinks he's breaking free, but he's not, because he's repeating the same mistake.
Yeah, but
and she understands it.
Yeah, if she would have joined him.
I'm pretty sure it's hinted that it's going to be dark, and she gets it. For me, it's kind of like, this dude that you talk about feminism with, and he's like, okay, I'm a feminist now, so now we can watch porn with, like, non-attractive actresses. That's what you wanted, huh? Yeah. It's, kind of
a plus-sized woman on the...
Yeah, kind of like, this is feminist, and she's like, oh, you haven't changed, have you? It's like, he thinks he's changing, but he's still stuck in the same place, and that's why I liked so much Because
He's looking for a solution that he's
seen-
never gonna get because he technically can't. The people he needs it from are just not gonna be around to give him what he needs.
Well, I have not seen the movie, but all those things I've said it before, that's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine, it's not my fan.
It wasn't mine either. It really
I will watch it, I'm just not so passionate about it that I can't, because if I was, you would not be able to get a word out, but it's okay. All those ideas that you spoke of are really interesting to me psychologically. It sounds really interesting and important to me because this is what I heard, okay? First of all, remember when we talked about this, we casually just mentioned it because there was a panel where someone
completely
said...
different context.
Yeah, someone said, it's amazing how fans would prefer to see the white character with another white character, even if he is an abusive guy that is potentially maybe her kin, someone from her family, Yeah, but then I said...
to see her with, like, Finn, for example.
That's it.
Like
but
the
I
black
said,
character.
I don't think that's the appeal of this ship. I think that, in general, in fan culture, in shipping, and in fan fiction, we are so drawn to the idea of redemption. We love the bad boys not because we love being abused, but because we think that the right person, the right love will change them.
Like the epitome of
we love that.
right?
So
I will
we
also say, though, that they just have better chemistry. They're just written better. Those two
But a lot of
characters.
time, those two opposites have better characters.
No, that's what I'm saying. That Kylo Ren and
But
Rey
can he be redeemed
are
at
just
this point?
written like that.
Well,
That's
it
another
seems to me
question.
now that the scene that you mentioned before is, he says, okay, something is happening. Maybe we are saying, maybe she's saying, he can be redeemed. Something is shifting, something is moving. But then at the last minute, he has no, point of reference to know how to be different. All he has to know is the same patterns that he lived through so far. So, which is why, even if he's trying to do something different, he's repeating and perpetuating the same type of
It will be
bad,
very weird for me
toxic
now
thing. So I'm
to
very
see him
glad.
redeemed because
So-
I'm like,
I'm not seeing it happening. Maybe in the last... my theory is that he will die protecting her in some way. It sounds like
which is
extremely...
bullshit, but okay.
It sounds very, very
Well,
tacky,
killing him
but...
is
it's a Disney.
so
It's a
easy.
Disney
Yeah.
franchise
It's just,
now.
it's
so.
a kid movie. I mean, eventually he will need to do the right thing.
But they're not no one's treating it as a kid movie, and that's the danger of it. But I do like the idea that she said to
When
him.
I say kid
well,
movie, I
no.
don't mean that it's stupid. I mean that it
Is
needs
it
to...
simplistic? Because it is
It has a certain depth, especially this movie. This movie is the deepest that has ever been, I think, in this franchise. But eventually, you need to take it as it is, which is, there's so much they can go towards. You can get very, very deep with kids' movies, but still, the good guys will win. And the bad guy will need to be redeemed in some way. He will die. He will get what he deserves, but he will need to be redeemed in some way, I feel. I saw an interview with Adam Driver, and he was saying, they asked him, how do kids react when they see you? And he said that they're not scared, but they're more like confused. He said that a lot of their parents say that they see him, and they're like, why? Why is he like this? because they see the good. They see that he's a kid.
Yeah.
They see that, and then they just don't understand because they're like, why does
Can't you just be nice?
Yeah, exactly, and that's wonderful because with Darth Vader, he was like a very pure bad. He's bad, so he's bad. No kid questioned that. The kids question Kylo Ren, and that's just sweet. That's just wonderful.
And we're not even talking about the diversity. This movie has more lead female characters, like Lordan and stuff like that. And you have a new ship, but it's basically an Asian character and a black character together. So I'm just watching, watching it growing up would change, I feel the worldview.
In comparison to the
It's
first
not even
movie that had only 100%
For me,
white
they're
people and
true.
one
There's
woman.
the main characters, but I was more excited even by you see all kinds of pilots and characters, running the ship from both sides.
Absolutely.
And you see women, men, people of color.
Amazing. It's like a
holy
world.
shit. It's not just exciting.
It's like humanity or something.
Yeah, it's not just exciting, to identify with, but it suddenly feels bigger. The older movies suddenly feel very small, very
that's true.
fantasy, someone's dream. And this feels so much, it's happening. I really care about all these characters now because there's a woman pilot in in the bad people's side, and women and people of color
capacities.
Yeah, they're like,
all around.
I care about everyone.
That's how it needs to be, because when you see like all sorts of people on all sides, you can't say stuff like oh, the women are representing wickedness in this film.
Also, in the previous films, the bad guys were always masked, always in these armored suits. You don't really see them, and they're just cannon fodder. You shoot them, you shoot them. You don't care about who dies. I always look at the army of the bad guys being like shot, like that's people. They're just on the other side of this thing. Okay, we have to wrap this up because we haven't even spoken.
No,
Okay.
We really want to get to talk to you about your work at some point.
So,
Okay, so we wanted actually to talk to you about you.
Yes.
And not so much about other people's work.
Yeah.
Okay.
As we explore phenomena,
It's kind of difficult to do that with my work, because my work has to do with other people's
we know.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why
That's the
it
whole
all
point.
works. Yeah, but as we like exploring different fandom phenomena.
Sides of fandom.
Yes, please.
One of the things that we were always talking about is how things change so much, to the sense that like people can actually make a living of like fandom related, I don't know, activities. I don't even know how to
Content.
Yes. That's
But once it was such a marginalized thing and also haunted, like if you just thought about opening a site about your fandom, Fox would shut you down. Like, really?
So haunted in the sense of like rights to to the fandom.
Haunted, I want to say even. They hunt you down and
haunted.
shoot you.
And make you not do your amateur performances at conferences in Israel.
Oh, that's insane. I heard about that.
Close you down after only 2... that's so sad. I'm gonna cry. But never mind. Never mind about our past. So run us through your career in terms of, where it started as like a geeky thing that you did for yourself for fun, and where you are right now.
So, I always talk about, geekiness. I don't remember who it was, but I saw someone on my Facebook or on my Twitter feed saying, "Oh, my son, I think it was like 8 or 7 or something. Is such a geek. He loves, all those shows."
What? The kid?
Well, what?
Oh, worried about the kid?
No, I'm not worried about kids. I'm saying that all kids are geeks, because all kids have, the Ninja Turtle bag and, excited about TV shows. You start off like that major enthusiasm towards those kinds of things. Now it's a bit different because, media
is way more mainstream today.
Media is a bit different, but let's talk 10, 15 years ago, which is, you grew up and you become a teenager and you see that everyone is kind of shying away from that world, and you see like, oh, I'm still in that obsessive phase, and that's why I think people see it as something more childlike, because it is enthusiasm. It is something that we all liked as children. I don't see it as a bad thing. I know a lot of people are offended when they say it's a childish hobby. It is a little bit, and it's fine. It's fine. It's cool. I was very. I understood. Okay, this is different. This is geeky. I learned, the names, the fandoms, all of this as, I grew up and I got obsessed with stuff. For me, it was Japanese animation that kind of I was first obsessed with.
Something specific that really...
I think Pokemon was kind of the first when it started airing in Israel. And then...
That resonates with me.
Yeah. And then afterwards, the other kind of... You find out what anime is, and you see other stuff, also Digimon. I think the first show that I watched was Ranma 1/2. A really cute anime about a guy that was cursed. That every time he is splashed with cold water, he turns into a girl.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is really cool.
It's a very sweet, interesting, a little queer. It's of its time. It's the 90s.
Yeah.
So it'll have some offense to it, but I loved it. And then I started watching others, the mainstream Evangelion and Scaflowne and all kinds of stuff. And after that, it's kind of hard to say, because on one hand, I know to define the fandom and geeky part of me. On the other hand, I'm also a cinephile and love film and TV and theater and opera and all kinds of things. I think each of us who is inside of that can detect when that part ends and the geeky part begins. Because I will geek out about The Last Jedi, and that would be the cinephile part of me that appreciates it for what it is and appreciates what they did with Kylo Ren's and Rey relationship as someone who knows film and interested in it. It's like, oh, this is the right call. Good job. But also inside, there's the fangirl who is like, I want to see more fan art of these two. I want to read really bad fan fiction of her saving him. You know, you have that kind of obsessive tendency for where does it come from? For me, I think it comes from several places. First of all, I always talk about, and that's me doing parody too. Fan fiction, parody, fan art is kind of tension-breaking works of art because they work more as, you know, break the tension rather than continue the art. Some people do that too, but for me, that's the first thing they always explain to people why people create that. Because you have things like, you know, Game of Thrones and Star Wars and very tension-filled films that aren't always resolved 100%, or at least the things that you like about them aren't 100% resolved, and that's fine. But you need something more.
So I love that you're saying that, because whenever, like, I mention, when I talk about writing fan fiction, I feel like fan fiction writing, or maybe I guess every sort of fan art, because fan fiction is also technically under the category of fan art, you're trying to kind of like fill a gap that the show or the canon left.
Yeah, and
like,
a lot of people, you know, when I remember reading an article about it, explaining how we're either rewriting the story or continuing the story because we like the story so much. For me, it's not exactly it. It's more like I'm filling up a certain tension that I got. You can do that either with humor, getting the characters from Game of Thrones who are so dramatic and tension-filled.
Take themselves so seriously.
Yes, and put them in Arrested Development.
In a way, you're making commentary on fandom, right? Or like on canon, I guess. Yeah.
And you put them in a funny situation, and then you're like, oh, you have a breath of relief over there. And that's the same with sexual fan fiction, where you kind of repair certain tension that you have between the characters. You know, yes, it's sexy and hot and kind of fun to read that piece of porn, but it's also relieving of the kind of tension that you have. You know, it is about sex, but also not.
Do you ever feel guilt reading, like, I don't know?
Never.
What? That's a totally valid answer. I always I get in my head because I was like, but I know the faces of these people. They're real people.
It's not
them.
The actors,
yeah.
Me too. I do.
You can't read it and disconnect, detach yourself from it.
I tried reading real people fic. That was hard. That was very hard for me. No, I take it as a valid thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like, no, this is too much for me. I literally blushed. The guilt comes from, I think, because fanfiction has such a different place in our consciousness, in our culture, and that's why a lot of people don't understand it. And I think the guilt comes from there because we are experiencing from it something that we don't expect to experience from regular media. I was just talking to a friend about how fanfiction, that's why, you know, there's a lot of taboo exploring, a lot of sexual exploring. You will you will be okay with things there that you won't be okay with in collective, in, you know, mass media, because in mass media there is a certain expectation to take a certain responsibility towards what you're writing and write the best sort of story that you can using what you know about the world. In fan fiction, the realm of fan fiction is more an exploration. That's why you're okay with stories that aren't written that well. That's why you're okay with certain taboos that you won't be okay with in media. So that's why I'm not feeling guilty, because I know what this world is. I know that this is exploring something different than in media. That's why I know that, you know, with Kylo Ren and Rey, a lot of people were really upset that people are shipping it, that people are reading about it, because it has echoes an abusive relationship. Mm-hmm. What they don't understand, that this world of fan fiction, fan creating, people over there are willing to accept things that in every day they won't. It's a fantasy. You know, you have very specific fantasies, and you're
also a place to fix it, like you said.
Yeah, you know, that too.
Specific tension or
exactly.
trouble.
Expanding on it, it's not just filling a gap from canon. It's also serving a need, any sort of need that the fans have, really.
Yeah,
it's a
fantasies,
fantasy.
and I will read incest in fan fiction that I will not accept in mass media, because it is kind of delving into fantasies and explorations. Not only is it fine, I think it's really important. For me, as a young adult, it was really very about exploring my sexuality as a time that I couldn't in the real world because I was not, ripe enough for that. I was not emotionally mature enough for that.
Also, it's such taboo. It's such a big taboo. You can't really work it in the mainstream world. Like, you have to do it in a way, in a safe place where it's kind of off the beaten track. If not everybody's in it, especially back in the days when we were younger and this was just starting out on the internet, it was kind of a safe space to explore a lot of things, and that's the place where you can figure out that maybe incest is not for you, or you're fine with it. Real people think
as a reading material.
Or good.
Let's clarify that.
Yeah, of course.
It's like that. I remember I watched a certain documentary with a certain sexologist person who was talking about fantasies and exploring taboo in your mind, and she was saying when you talk about things like rape fantasies, it's not really about rape, it's about losing control. When you have the fantasy, you are the one in control. You're not actually being raped because over there your control is being taken away, but in your mind when you have that fantasy, it's about losing control. And you're exploring that. It's a fantasy. It's not something you actually want.
Very interesting, because I think also as creators, and I think today many fans are also creators of content, it makes you more open-minded.
Yes.
It's like, laughing saying it's research basically, but it's like you need to kind of like, you need to absorb all sorts of certain things, because the more you know about the world in general, it just makes you a better artist.
It does make you more broad-minded, I agree. I think that being exposed to fanfiction at a certain age, I wasn't that young, but okay, I was in my early 20s when I got into this. But the fact that I was in the Buffy fandom, and there was a lot of fanfiction going on all over the map, and everything was there. So at some point, I was not icked or weirded out or thought that anything is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, an older man with a younger girl, as long as it's, within consent, and of course she's not really young. You know what I mean? Because I don't go for that. Yeah. She's Buffy and Giles, okay? You know what? If it's well written, I get it. 2 men together, 3 men together, 2 women, everything goes, and people who are not in this world and we're not open to this sort of thing. I watch TV, and for me, oh yeah, of course they're in love. Oh yeah, of course. Oh God, they should just kiss.
Yeah.
And the people are on the sofa with me watching.
This is why people get upset about babies.
Doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but it's right there.
Yeah.
You just have to be open. It's
you
just
don't want to
there.
see. If you don't see it, it's because you don't want to see it.
You know.
Are you kidding? Watching Star Wars, I was like, they should fuck. They should fuck. These 2 should fuck.
I watch a show.
That's like, you mean Leia and
everyone.
Star Wars?
Just
Yeah,
everyone.
they're all over the place.
Everyone on that show can get it.
But it's everything now.
Yeah.
It's like I said before, you only need that tiny spark between 2 characters, and you can say, okay, I see what's happening here. Somewhere in the internet, there's a fic that I want to read with these 2. Okay.
Well, so that was kind of me, and then afterwards, and then I started studying in Bezalel, because Bezalel School of Arts and Design, animation.
That's in Jerusalem, right?
Yeah, Jerusalem.
Yeah.
I was interested in studying animation because it kind of it had everything I was interested in doing in it. I really wanted to act. I really wanted to voice act. I really wanted to edit. I wanted to direct. I wanted to sketch. I wanted to illustrate.
Basically everything. You wanted everything.
Yeah, I wanted everything. Yeah. Really, I did. And over there, the curriculum just had everything in it. So I was like, oh, this is great. And also, I was a fan of animation before. I just never really thought about creating it up until this moment, which, this kind of medium said, oh, you can do all of that.
But growing up, did you know you were good at it? You know what I mean?
I drew. I was drawing. I was, the person in the class that was drawing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like something that I knew that I want to do. I was a musician. I studied music and I played the violin. But I also, did the drawing and illustrated. I liked doing it. I was fine at it. I never really wanted to be an animator. It just kind of popped in my head when I read the curriculum I knew, okay, yeah, I am interested in animation. It didn't surprise anyone that I was going to study it because I was such a fan of animation. But that's when I realized a problem with the art schools in general, especially this one, that fandom is a no-no and fan art is a no-no.
Yeah.
Japanese animation is a no-no. And yeah, and I was I was small. I was like 21, and I was like, okay, I want to do the right thing. I want to, for their behalf, I started hating all of that. I was I really disconnected myself from that world a long time, like 4 years. And
it's so counter-effective.
Yes, and I was dead inside. I felt like nothing for like 4 years. It was like very.
School is so.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I tried putting in myself, and whenever I did play around with characters I was familiar with, I did wonderful things. But mostly I was just kind of, I couldn't create. It was very hard for me because my heart was with parody, with all of these things. And when I got out from prison, the animals. So after I did that, then I worked in a few studios, and it slowly began creeping back to me. I think it was like specifically 2013 that I think internet, YouTube, and fandom was kind of at its height. Like Marvel was really getting to the places that they were getting, and YouTube was getting bigger. So I decided to kind of let's do stuff that have to do, like, let's do the fangirls video.
And that was before LA. Right?
What?
That was before.
Yeah, like a year or two before LA. I started getting back to it in general with fan art, with everything, but the channel was kind of blew up, started around that time. And the success of it kind of reminded me it's good to kind of stick to the things that you love most of all.
Yeah.
Which is, my combination of one hand, me being kind of into the fandom and the geekiness, on the other hand, me being, in general into movies and TV and exploring that world. So yeah, that's kind of my path. And then after a year, I think, we moved to LA, and I'm there now.
Did you move to LA with the purpose of
I knew that I wanted to move to the US for a while because I have a citizenship. I knew that, from the moment, I left high school, the army, that's a thing that I'm going to do. But every time it kind of postponed for different reasons. First of all, I wanted to study. In Israel, it's much, much, much cheaper. So I'd rather
insanely cheaper.
So I want to do that. Afterwards, I met my husband to be, so it was also kind of postponed. And then when we were together, we were like, okay, I want to do this thing. Do you want to do this thing with me? Like moving. And I was like, yes, because he's also very much into American media and writing in English. So while we were working on getting him the green card, after we got married, we started making the channel. And so that was like a nice coincidence that once we received the green card and knew that we can go, we were already a little bit known. Yeah. So we had like a nice kind of landing over there of folks already knowing what we're doing.
So it did help.
Yeah, sure.
Extracurricular activities.
Yes.
Open doors for you?
Of course. I mean, that's my
portfolio.
Yeah,
that's your calling card.
That's my portfolio. That's why people are interested in seeing what we do.
And it's all fandom related. It's amazing.
Yeah. Fandom related, but the people in Hollywood who see these things, they're like, they see as like, SNL, like parodies, their favorite shit, stuff like that.
Everybody loves that.
See, but we got to the point in time that it serves you well to create this, rather than like,
shuts doors for you. Yeah, it's amazing. What are you doing now? What are some of the projects?
So over the last year, we were pitching a certain project that was bought.
Was that private or?
No. We got a manager, and with the manager, we went and pitched a certain project that we loved very much. Went to a few networks. One network was very, very interested, and almost bought it. But as it happens in Hollywood, they decided they're changing the whole slate to late night shows. So no animation there. So I mean, what can you do? There's not a lot you can do. We would just kind of take the pride of we were almost bought. Yay!
Okay.
That was the pilot. That was also
still happen.
And that was that's another story that.
But you can't talk about any of those.
Yeah.
things.
Now we're working on another show, another pitch that's a little bit bigger, a little bit more epic, a little bit more serialized. The other one that we pitched was an anthology, which was extremely hard to sell as it is, because anthology and animation is quite the work. So it was very, very adventurous thing to go with first. But people now know us and are interested in hearing us. So with this new project, once we get back to the US, we'll start pitching that one. So yes.
When you say us, is it?
Oh, me and my husband, or in that
it's a
works.
company, or it's like a small.
Two of us.
Oh, it's you guys.
Yeah.
How do you guys split the work?
Well, what?
How do you guys split the work?
Oren studied screenwriting in school, so he knows like proper how to write. Screenwriting shit. And I'm a little more better with building worlds, building characters. We do write together. It's like we have like chunks of ideas that we kind of turn together, and then he kind of corrects it to the shape of a form. Yeah, formats it into a shape of a script, and then we kind of have back and forth. Which I read it and give notes. He reads it and gives notes. Stuff like that.
Awesome that you guys are a team, basically.
Yeah, it's really fun because I have certain strength and he has certain strength, and we kind of need each other in that sense.
So there wasn't actually some sort of like a big aha moment where you realized, okay, that's my stuff, my shit, the things that I love. I can try to make money off that. It just kind of happened organically.
Yeah,
organically. You were doing it anyway, and then that was where you wanted to be.
Yeah. Organically, and also, I'm not sure, I mean, I think it's me, mostly, because satisfaction is not in my nature, as Loki said. I mean, every time I go through a certain, step forward, I forget that this is a step that would excite me very much, the step before. I think it was, we were pitching to Comedy Central, and we were kind of waiting in the waiting room, and Oren, my husband, was like, oh my god, we're in Comedy Central, this is awesome! And I was like, yeah. Until they're buying it, I'm not excited about it. That's me.
A lot of people have this.
Yeah, I keep saying, as an actress, I keep saying, I just need this, sign from the world that this is going somewhere, and then I stop myself, I'm like, I've gotten multiple signs constantly, I'm just not stopping at the moment to say, this was a sign, I need to appreciate this, you know what I mean?
I think by the time we reached the place that we were... there was a time where we couldn't imagine being there, but by the time we got there, it's not like magic. We worked hard.
True.
We honed our craft, whatever it is.
It's like, I earned this meeting at Comedy Central.
By the time we're there, we were taking it for granted.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
It's nice that, Oren knows how to smell the flowers.
It's very important. You have to stop and look around and say, okay... Like, for me, it's, whatever. For me, it's music. Like, I literally had to say, okay, I'm on stage with, a band and I'm singing. And
with music, it's much easier. I miss being a musician. With music, it's just... Yeah, it is, because with music,
to us.
You always have those moments of, because you're on the stage and it's happening. It could be even, not such a great performance, but it's happening. And you always see the signs. I mean, for me, at least, that was...
But that's the problem, because the moment you're experiencing it, you're not stopping to figure out that you're experiencing it. You're going through the motions. Like, I know from acting gigs, I'm like, oh, I got this thing I really wanted to do. I'm currently doing this thing.
What's next?
But I'm saying only while I'm done with this thing, because it's a job. At the end of the day, it's a job. So when you're doing your job, you're just trying to do the best you can at your job. But at the end of the day, then when you get home, you're like, I did this thing today.
That's amazing.
This thing happened.
I think
good on me.
For me, at least, the difference between writing and animating, even acting, because I did that for a while. For music, with music, it's not 100% yours. When you play an instrument, even when you sing, I did both. It's you, but it's also something. Oh shit! I'm sorry for being like that, but something a little more spiritual. It's just it's weird, but it is. The music is very godlike for me. I'm an atheist, by the way, but still, a certain idea of
elevates.
Yeah, it's you're producing a certain sound, and it's yours, but also it's very it's happening now, and it's like if I opened my eyes and that would screen a movie. That's kind of how I feel. You do. You practice a lot, and you practice towards it. But even when you practice, it's like it's happening. Even if you're not hitting the right notes. So that's why music is so fucking wonderful and exciting. And with acting is a little harder because, for me at least, I'm not sure how it was for you. At the time, it's very much you, even if you're playing something else. With animation, with writing, it's just so much work. It's so much pre-production that by the time it's out, it doesn't feel like it's yours anymore. Like the Stranger Things one, I felt every moment of creating it, so some of the excitement was lost in progress. So it's fun when it's screened and people are like cheering and happy, but then it's foreign to me. It's like I'm watching, it's like, I did this, I guess. But that music is so... It's like it's as you're doing it, it's you and it's not you. But
that goes to show you how individual it is. Because I feel like, she was saying, like, for her it's probably harder. What you're saying is it's for you, it's easier. Like, when I think about acting, I think sometimes I'm like hanging hen up there somewhere to watch from the side while I'm doing this thing again until hours later. And there's so much build up to it because you psych yourself, not necessarily in a good way, you know what I mean? You're like obsessing because you want to do such a good job because your good job now is going to lead to the next job that you're like, by the time you do it, it's not just you. There was like, if anything, you're trying to put all of this aside and it's so hard. But it's interesting what you're saying about like feeling every moment of like Stranger Things because I keep like referring to my scripts as like my baby scripts and like clearly I cannot compare giving birth to this experience of writing a script.
This is something that I just never understood. And we've created a bunch of stuff. We've written a bunch of scripts. From the moment it's on the page, from the moment someone else is involved also, it doesn't feel like mine anymore. It's like, we're writing now something that I really ship two of the characters. And they're not going to be together ever. But I really want to see fan fiction on them. So it doesn't feel like completely mine anymore. It's a very odd sensation. I never felt like my babies ever. And maybe that's, I think I took...
But you're saying that's because someone else got involved, right?
First of all, Oren is involved also, so it's not when it's not in my brain anymore. It's out there, and someone else involved is even like gave me some help or anything. It's still like I'm working with a character designer to help me design one of the characters, and she sent me one today. I'm like, oh my god, he's so hot, and like I'm so excited for this show. Because it doesn't feel like mine anymore. It's like, I want to see it. It's like I saw someone else's concept art, but it's also mine.
Yeah.
So the feeling is more like, okay, the feeling how you're really obsessing over a certain actor, like Tom Hiddleston or whatever, and then you've seen so much stuff of him that, and at a certain point, I remember it so clearly. I saw him on TV, like with my mom, and I wanted to point out, like, hey, this is, like for a moment it felt like a family member. Like, this is this is our cousin or something. Like, no, you don't know him. It's so you have this embarrassed moment of this is mine, but it's not mine. So this is how
fandom like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's yours. It's your thing.
But also not.
So
that's how I feel about everything I create. Especially if it's good. The better it is, the more foreign it is to me.
I think maybe it's like a defense mechanism because, like, it's in the sense of like it's easier to accept success when it doesn't feel just yours.
In a way, maybe.
You know what I mean? No, but I get it. It's hard because when something is just yours and you're like being complimented about it, you have to deal with the compliment. I think it's not always easy.
You know how you can deal with the compliment? Say thank you.
Yeah, no, I
that's
like
a technical solution.
Compliments. I'm not sure.
Just accept it.
I'm not sure if it's 100%. I agree. I like compliments. But
I don't hate them for sure, but it's
but the process of standing there and accepting a compliment, it's something
hard.
You have to learn. And this is my advice.
It's not even that for me. It's not even that. It's a weird moment where just something I made is like I'm getting a lot of compliment from the Stranger Things one, and thank you, wow, this is awesome, thank you so much. But also I feel a little weird because but I didn't 100% make it. Oh yeah, but I did. But I can't.
It's like you're hosting it on your channel.
Like when I release something out there, I feel like it's its own thing. Like I worry about it. I have some sort of like maternal feelings about it, but it's
I think that would, maternal I don't have, and I think that would help me once, knock on wood, if this show happens. I think that would make me more comfortable with like I don't know, shipping certain characters fanfic, because I know that some people have difficulties with that.
No, ship your own characters. That's amazing. That's
No, I mean, but some people have difficulties with, like, I know, they create
People
a certain
writing fiction for them.
Yeah, writing fiction for them. Shipping. No, you shouldn't ship those two
Yeah,
characters.
they're not together.
See, I will see it a measure of success. If someone
shit,
takes any
of
of my
course.
stories and fanfiction
That is amazing.
I'll be like, I'm done here. Thank you.
No, I would. I'm looking forward to any
That's
fucked
I
up
think.
shit they're gonna think
I
about.
think that is the moment of triumph.
Yeah,
if you wrote
absolutely.
something that someone else made fanfiction of, you are done. That's it. You are.
I was sitting in bed and kind of thinking about all my characters. Like, okay, who will I be disturbed about if they did something to them? I'm like, if we have an animal there. I'm thinking about, like, one of the people that are fucking the animal, like, in their fan art.
Yeah.
I still think it's cool. Like, you created something. That's
Listen,
awesome.
I've done a web show years and years ago, straight out of school, and everything about it is like raw and like, you know, amateur, just because technically we couldn't do it. Yeah. But this awesome girl on Tumblr starting their recaps for the episode. And I was like, oh my god! And
that's
she,
nice.
yeah, because she gives some of this stuff. I'm like, please continue forever.
I saw not so long ago someone who experts at creating this very specific kink of, you know, I think it's called inflation or something like that, where you take characters and, you know, there's a scene in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where one of the characters becomes a blueberry. So that's the kink, turning characters into that. That's his thing. So he gets requests and that's it. They're just round and purple. And that's it's very, very common. It's a very common kink. It's weird, but you know, whatever, whatever moves you. So anyway, I saw him taking my character, the fangirl one, the head fangirl, and doing that to her. You know, it didn't I know. I looked at it. It didn't disturb me. I was like,
it's a compliment.
Oh.
It's a total compliment.
You do you, weird dude.
And I will rejoice.
I have a fun fiction where half of it is in text messages.
Okay.
And someone took that conversation and made it into, they put it in one of those things that I guess they are online, where they made it into like
text,
an actual,
like,
it looks like a WhatsApp conversation with, she put in the right kind of timeline and everything, and the winky faces and everything from the story. And she put it on her Tumblr, and it started blowing up. And like 5 times the people reblogged and
then actually read the fanfiction. Of course,
because I think it stands on its own, and people that don't even know the fanfiction or the characters or whatever, the fandom, read it and thought that it was real. And thought it was super cute, so they continue to. And also, it says so. It just goes
but
with,
also, as a bitter writer,
but I thought that was amazing.
It's great. It's amazing. I love this stuff. It's as a bitter writer, I always feel like the visual.
I love it that you say it's like you're as a bitter writer.
No.
It's your
Period. But as a bitter writer, I find that I think fans. Because it's easier, they respond more to visual concepts.
Yeah.
So, you know, so fan art will always get more blogged.
No one reads anymore. They all read the
millennials,
text.
whatever.
Okay, guys, we are all over the place, and I really want
it's an amazing convo. Yeah.
But actually, my next question is about more fandoms. What would you say is your, ultimate, the fandom of your life?
It's kind of hard to say because I'm, a bit of a skank. I jump that's
fandom whore.
Everyone's like, what do you ship in Avengers? Like everything. Normally, I have no. I think I read a Thor fic, which was literally Loki fucks. Everyone fucks Loki. It's like every one of the every one of the episodes
as the slide of the fandom.
Yeah, that's true. That's him. So so I'm not very. I can't say something because up until one point it was Pokemon when I was younger and then something else. I would say that for a long time, the most constant one that's more than 10 years is probably Doctor Who. It means a lot to me for a lot of reasons, so that's certainly there. If I were to do a tattoo, it would be from there, for sure. But the first thing I saw, you have a Van Gogh over here. And I was just thinking, is that from the episode? Oh no. I have that. Oh no.
I have that Maggie Hellman. Yeah. Anyways.
That is an original Van Gogh, by the way. When she says I have a Van Gogh, she means it.
Yeah. So anyways, so yeah, so it would be that.
It is from the episode. I love that
It
episode.
is, yeah,
It's
it's a
one of
great
my
episode.
most favorite
Yes, it's
episodes
wonderful.
of that show.
So yeah,
Almost
so
perfect.
So that, and heavily ship Rose and Ten, like very very much. I have
And
to.
were you in? Okay, and tell us, how were you involved? Like, what kind of a fangirl?
Can I just
are you?
show off for a second? Sorry, because we talked about Rose, and I love Billie Piper so much. Like,
Yeah.
after the show, I've seen everything she's done, and I just bought tickets to see her show. She's coming to Broadway.
Oh yeah, I heard.
Yeah. And
With the Yelma?
Yes.
Yes.
Which I've heard. Ken, our friend, she said, Grace, she saw it in London, and she said it was incredible. So I was like, I'm gonna buy these tickets now, like 4 months ahead of time. It just happens to like preview on.
Hey, I brought tickets to Don Juan with David Tennant like a year before without knowing if we can even go to London. Well, we did, and it was fun. It was
Yay.
not very good.
At least this one's in New York, so I'm
but
like,
he was
oh, yeah.
he wore very little at some point, so
Tennant I've seen live in a
That's
Q&A
something.
about, was it about Jessica Jones? I don't remember, maybe.
that
but
would be awesome.
yeah, it was great, but I've never seen Billie Piper live ever, so I'm like, yes, make it happen.
She's more like normal. Like you see David Tennant, he's a geek. He's a big
Yeah,
old
it's true.
geek.
Yeah.
And she's more
She's an actress.
out of
She
the
acts
she
in
has
fandom.
been through shit.
No, she's wonderful. I love her.
Yeah, no, but like,
She's
you know.
so good. She's
Yeah,
beautiful.
no. But she has gone through a
more and
lot,
more
you know.
beautiful.
That's
as
true.
with every
That's
year.
something
But she
interesting
was, like,
about her. It's
how
like,
does she do
like
that?
she doesn't look the way she looked then. She looks very different, but like beautiful girl, another beautiful girl.
Yeah, her age is
Because
makes her
I think she's
better.
also like, I read her bio, which she feels ashamed for writing, but I still read it.
Okay.
Because she was super young when she wrote it, and she's like, it feels like a piece of crap for her. But I was like, okay, she struggled with like eating disorders, and she struggled with mental health, and she struggled with not wanting to be like a pop star, which was kind of like just happened to her rather than her making it happen and like transforming into acting where she really
She's
found what
sweet.
she
She's very,
so
she's
I'm
very
like,
ashamed of that time.
I know, but I
get it,
It just,
yeah.
but it adds, as a fan, it adds depth because you realize
Yeah.
like this person is not,
Empty.
She also worked insanely hard to get to where she is today, and to a place that is, from what we know, is like a happy place.
Yeah.
Obviously everything is relative, but yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, but I mean, now I would say that I'm extremely excited about this new Star Wars generation, this new trilogy. I'm like very much into it. I love what they did with the new movie. I love that ship. It's just I love all of it very much. And I cannot end this kind of conversation without seeing the Thor movies. They were my favorite in the
second
bunch.
one as well.
Second one is not good, but there never are. I mean,
Yeah.
this trilogy kind of gets a bad rap. The Thor movies get a bad rap in the Avengers world, and I don't really, I understand why. I remember, because at the time I was working in a DVD store, and a lot of people don't remember this, but they have a bad memory of the Thor movie because it was extremely unique for its time. I mean, when it came out, you had Captain America. Captain America was out yet or not?
No.
I don't remember. No, but you had
The Iron Man.
Yeah, at Iron Man. And Iron Man. It was still a time where superheroes were like, people had like bad memories from superheroes of old.
It was just the beginning of
Yes.
He was
the
one of phase
superhero.
one. Yeah.
Iron Man was like, I remember people coming to the DVD store, like, I want like a real superhero thing, like Iron Man. Like for them, it was like good because it was like, I'm doing quotes, real. Like it dealt with real problems. It dealt like with terrorism and all
Well,
like that.
that's the charm of it.
Yeah, and then Thor, and it was very good. And then Thor came out like aliens.
Yeah, he's a god.
Powers.
Different,
Now it's so
galaxy.
different. Everyone
Yeah.
accepts it. But at the time, people didn't. So they
Like,
remember it.
wasn't Chris Hemsworth enough of like, I would be like, let me watch this film, please.
Yeah.
This
But
man is beautiful.
And it's a very different film in all the franchise. It's very emotional. It's very about like someone's journey.
Yeah.
It's less action. It's more romantic. It's more emotional. And I it's not perfect, but I give it a lot of rep for being different still at the time and everything, and being like very, I like it a lot. Second film, I didn't like the second Iron Man. I didn't like the second Thor. But the third one is wonderful.
Oh my God, it's so
I
good.
love it. And yeah, the Thor films are very close to me. I love the
Yeah.
character of Loki. I like their relationship.
But also because the true calling of like Chris Hemsworth, he's like he's a comical actor,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
finally
Yeah.
they let him embrace it, and
Yes.
wonderful things come out.
He really wanted to. And so for me also, this is like I would say like a big thing for me. This was something that really helped me start the channel, being like very, very into, you know, the superhero thing, especially, you know, the Thor movies. I can't, you know, this is something that it's really part of me, the Thor movies.
Okay, and were you, I'm trying to understand what sort of a geek girl you are, because obviously
me too.
because obviously you're very hands-on. You make fan art. Were you ever a fan fiction writer?
I tried. It wasn't for me. It's hard. I read a lot.
Reader?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, big reader.
Oh yes.
Fan fiction.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the same as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
You're either in the fan fiction world and you have that sensibility and like we talked before, like that world view, or you're not, and that's fine.
Yes.
And when you were involved with with community?
A little bit, not that much. With the Israeli community, I went to Icon. I was, you know, especially in my Japanese animation phase, I was part of, you know, the commune, part of
I'll
everything.
just say that Icon is our sci-fi fantasy convention. There is twice a year. There's a big one, and that's one of them.
I mean, later on, I became kind of less and less because I, you know, moved to Jerusalem and studied there, and we talked about what happened there. Now I'm a little more involved just because of my channel, I think.
I was talking about more like a community in general. It doesn't have to be like the Israeli community. For me, most of the time was not with the Israeli community.
I don't have a specific, I kind of go between communities, not part of a specific community, just friends with a lot of people who are very much into that as well.
I feel like today being on Twitter alone is like forcing you into being part of a community, even if you're not like.
I was gonna say at the olden days, it was like there were forums, and there were like site rings or whatever that was used to be called, or you were on LiveJournal and all your friends were on LiveJournal.
Yeah, exactly.
You met other people from that, so that was like a community, and I think a lot of it was about fan fiction also, or maybe that's just my experience because I was heavily into that, and that's where you met the people.
Yeah, true.
And then I think today it's like you say, you have your Twitter
default,
sphere, your Tumblr sphere, or whatever sphere.
You don't even have to be like, you know, because Twitter gives you the lists, you know, option, but you don't even have to do that to, you know.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a bit different, but it's like, did you meet people, made friends?
Oh yeah, I mean, through fandom, through my, you know, in the olden days, of course, but today through my channel, I meet a lot of people people from different communities. It's a little different and hard because, you know, I am into the fandom and everything, but I think people that I'm friends with, it's a little deeper than that. It's not just that, you know, I have a lot of friends who are like purely fandom people, or very the fan fiction, the everything, but most of my friends are people who are very much obsessed with that, but also, you know, have kind of a broader appreciation towards cinema and television that in that sense, because it is different. It is less forgiving for certain things, and, you know, in the canon, but still very excited about, you know, the fan fiction. As I am, you know, I know what I want from my canon, but I have different ones from, you know, what I want in my art, in my fan fiction. But it's just turning a little, you know, mixed in that sense. I know people that, you know, now share and appreciate fan art that were never part of that. Fan fiction's a little harder to see because people are a little more awkward around that. I vocal myself,
and again, it's
very loudly about loving it.
It's not an instant satisfaction. So like sharing it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's true.
You don't really see people on Facebook sharing that because it is a little more intimate. It is a little more weird.
I kind of like it.
Yeah,
it's very weird that this is a pastime where millions of people are doing it, and it's still
sharing porn with each other. Yeah, I talked with my husband about that, with Oren about that, and he's like, it's really funny how you're like, basically share porn with your girlfriend.
Absolutely. We share porn, and
it's just another aspect of feminism.
But
it's true. It's true.
But that's like taking this whole huge thing and making it into, let's give it a name that we can all understand. It has sex in it. It's porn. Fiction is not like that. It's like a medium into itself.
I was like, it has a name. It's called smut. Like
smut.
No, there's porn without plot, which is just porn. Okay.
No, of course it's
but
more
mostly,
than that,
if you really are looking for the good stuff,
Yeah.
the porn is in service. I'm sorry, but it is in service of a relationship.
No, you're right.
It's
It's
one thing. Being fluffy and cute.
Porn without plot or plot.
Sex is
what
part
plot?
of life. We love
Yeah.
it. We want to read about it. We want to see it, like just like everybody else. But it's not like it's not for the sake of fetishism in fan fiction. Some of it is.
Some of it is.
Some of it is.
What I agree with is that it does take a certain emotional charge that we require in this, and that's why we read it, and that's why we ship the things we ship, because there is that tension, there is that emotional charge that kind of, booms away in Star Wars in a fight scene for us.
That's what I'm
sex.
saying.
Yeah.
There's this thing on Tumblr that I keep seeing resurface where it's like me reading, heavy pornish fanfiction. Oh, that's nice. And me reading the same ship like Fluffy Fluff. Oh my god, it's so beautiful, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like exactly what it is. We are so much more interested in like our feels
The
and
emotional,
just fun. But we like the sex. That's totally true. But I think that fanfiction in and of itself, it's a whole thing.
Oh yeah.
And it's very hard to explain it.
Yeah. But I love that also for my aspect of like making a living out of, I love that years ago, not that long ago, all fanfiction would be published on websites, like free websites, because of the whole rights thing, because you don't own the characters. Nowadays, and I'm the last person to congratulate Amazon about anything, that horrible corporation, but they recognize the financial potential in selling fanfiction, because they're like, okay, we don't need to do anything, we just need to give you the place to do it. Exactly, give you the platform. We're not even going to deal with the PR marketing. That's up to you to deal with your own fandoms. What we're going to do is get agreements, get contracts with the studios. I don't know how they split the money between themselves, but you can sell it. Technically, they call it Kindle Worlds, like worlds being like fandoms. That's and they let you write for these specific ones that they have agreements with, and usually the writer gets about a third of the sale. So I don't know how. You can say, oh, that's not much, but it used to be nothing.
Yeah, it is a big.
And I was not so
happened.
much into it at the beginning because I just tend to be suspicious. But then I saw specifically it was Pretty Little
It
Liars.
worked for you.
Well, what I'm saying is I didn't do it right away, and then I saw a writer, and actually like one of the writers from Pretty Little Liars, he started publishing fan fiction, like
of Pretty Little Liars?
of Pretty Little Liars himself.
Isn't that just canon?
See, not exactly. It becomes complex. But I was like, if a writer of a show can do it for the show he's on, I'm gonna do it for some of my fandoms.
Well, what's his name? Brian Fuller is just.
Oh my god, that
he
nerd
retweets every fan art of Hannibal. He's so much into that. Really appreciates it.
It's a completely new generation of creators.
Yeah.
That are so connected.
Oh my god,
and some of them came from this culture anyway, so it's kind of dumb to
I
say,
have a good friend.
well, now I'm making, it's my money, so you can't do it anymore. But
I have
when
a friend
I
who
was
started
young,
as a fanfiction writer. She's a TV writer now, and it's like, that's amazing. That's us. You know what I mean?
there's maybe I talked about this before, I don't know, but there's an angel writer. I'm sorry, I'm so ancient.
I talked about this before because that's my friend.
Okay. So Mare Smith, who was a writer on Angel, big time writer on Angel, and she wrote one of the best, my most beloved episodes.
Really? How did we never talked about this?
We never did.
No, because that's my friend.
Mare Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we actually never talked about this?
No.
So weird.
I talk about her in lectures, and you never told me you know her.
I'll text her later. I'll tell her.
Hold on. You have like a friend who is a writer on Angel. We never talked about
No,
this.
I don't know how.
Pen, you are
We talk about each other all the time. What are you
You are
talking
fired
about?
from this friendship.
That's
I
so
can't
funny.
even stand you. Why are we in the same room?
This is so weird. Okay.
We'll talk about it at length
I
later.
thought that's why we were talking about her.
Fuck
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry. Anyways, you're saying,
Okay, so she used to write fan fiction.
Yeah.
Very successful, I think she was. And then she got a job on Angel, and she took all her fan fiction offline.
Mm-hmm.
And she can't.
Heartbroken.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. You can't find it.
Should I ask her if
there's something about her episodes that are very fanfiction-y, which is why I love them. Like she wrote Birthday. I don't know if you remember. the one where Cordelia's visions cause her to basically die, and then she has to figure out what to do, and it has so many fanfiction-y elements. It puts her in a place where she was never before. She has to solve the mystery of the whatever. There's an alternate reality where she did become an actress. She didn't meet Angel in the beginning of the show, and she did become a very famous actress. So that's exploring of an alternate universe like we so do. And then she meets all the people that she loves in that alternate reality, like you do in fanfiction, because that's the whole point of writing an AU, is to meet all the same characters and see what happened to them. It's so satisfying for a fanfiction reader, that episode, and she does that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that very much.
But I think we'll see more of it in the upcoming generation, like people who grew up on fanfiction, becoming part of the industry, and I think it makes you get better quality, because when you write fanfiction, you have to deal with the challenge of like writing that satisfactory thing in a way that makes sense, that you're more equipped to write satisfying television.
Yeah, not go too far to the other place where it's just cheeseball and just ridiculous, but you have to find a happy medium. Okay, so I don't know why we digress to that, but it was very exciting to know that you're holding out on me.
Not intentionally.
Okay, so basically, I don't feel that we talked about your work enough.
Okay.
I don't know why. Is there something that you wanted to share, to say? Something you're doing right now, like fandom-wise?
Do you take requests for?
No, I do not. No,
people ask that.
I don't really have a lot of time or inspiration for my channel that much anymore. I don't know when is the next time I'm gonna update something. Maybe something Star Wars related, but I don't know if I have. if I want to deal with that now. No, right now we are working on our own things.
Is this something that you're watching or reading, or that you would like to just tell us about?
I was in Israel for a month now, so it's mostly like movies that I love. The new Star Wars. I loved Coco by Pixar. One of my favorite movies. It's wonderful.
I saw you wrote about the new Anne Frank graphic novel.
Oh
which I just bought.
Yeah, but I mean, no one in the US can buy it yet because it's only going to get translated next year. Another movie I love, Thor Ragnarok. I read that. Currently, I don't have anything specific to recommend.
Okay. Anything that you're doing that you would like to plug?
Also, no, because everything is kind of behind the scenes. So you can also just kind of write to me. Good luck.
Well, good luck with this thing. Good luck, and of course, everyone can go to your channel on YouTube and check out all these amazing, truly amazing videos.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched them, they are delightful, and they combine fandoms in just hilarious ways, and they're just great. I love them.
Thank you.
Which is why we invited you over.
See, when you get a compliment, say thank you, Shiri.
Yes, just like that. Just like that. I have to learn that. I'm working on it. Okay, so that was our great talk. I enjoyed it very much. I hope you all did.
Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, you can go to randomfandompod.tumblr.com to get all the links to all the social media and to the Patreon. And to
We're in 1,000 places.
Yes.
You can listen to us there, and you can write us, about whatever, your fandoms.
Yeah.
Share, it's fair.
Sharing is fairing or something.
Okay, so thank you very much. Bye.